Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, all you dregs of society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers, you sycophants, you stinkos, and all you hateful people who are celebrating this president, the duly elected president. You're always welcome here, and this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network, as well as the AUN television network. And joining me as my co-host is the patriot from the battle-born state, the silver state of Nevada, and that's Sharon Engel. Sharon, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Oh, thank you, Rick. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I can't think of a more exciting time to be talking about these things than right now. You know, we were on the air election night. We're now a week out of the election night, still doing election voting, actually, here in Nevada. They're just finally closing up. This is the last day for them to be able to accept ballots, which just seems amazing to me. It's stunning. It's shocking. It's just so out of kilter, so out of constitutional reach here. And yet that's what we're doing. Plus, during that election return night, we exposed Fox News. Actually, you know, George Landreth, I think, was the first one to mention it. He said something really interesting is going on here. I'm in Virginia. They're calling this race, but there's no way that they should be calling this race. It's too close to call. And then, lo and behold, Frank Vernuccio got on and he says, that's what I'm seeing too, George. Something really, really interesting is happening. And as we watched the returns come in, and they called Arizona right away, and even CNN would not call Arizona. Then Frank and George, their antenna were up. The rest of us started to see what they were seeing. And it wasn't for 2 or 3 hours before the rest of conservative media out there began to start buzzing about this. What has gone wrong with Fox? What are they doing over there at Fox? And when they called California, Oregon, and Washington without one vote recorded, we all went, what's going on? You know, the media was in a rush to call this election. And now we are kind of starting to see what their plot was. So it's an exciting time to be alive. I don't know if, you know, I have mixed feelings about what's going on here, Rick. On the one hand, as a reporter and a journalist, I don't think we could have asked for a better time to be alive. But as an American, I think, holy cow, what's going on?
Well, Sharon, I say that all the time. I actually said it in 2012 when Barack Obama beat Mitt Romney. I said to my wife, Mary, I said, honey, this is a horrible night for our country. It's a wonderful night for my radio show. And I'll say the same thing again. I think these times are horrible times for our country. It's terrific for our radio show because we'll have a lot to talk about for the next 4 years, that's for certain. Sharon, we're seeing such shenanigans go on out there. We really are. And what I would like to do is I'll let you have some time to talk about this. First of all, Sharon, you know, you and I have had this disagreement going on between the two of us. I say the problem is the Republicans need to get into this game. You know, they need to get into this game of ballot harvesting, and it won't be until the Republicans get better at it than the Democrats that the Democrats will demand the end of ballot harvesting, and they will demand clean and honest elections. Sharon, are you coming along on this with me yet?
No, can't go there. And the reason is because I'm just such a rule of law person. It is law and order that has made this country work. It is self-governance that makes us a moral and religious people. Our founders said without that, the Constitution is not a government that can govern anybody but a moral and religious. So if we who go by the rule of law start to play the game on their terms, then we're all just my mafia is better than your mafia. My mob's better than your. So my bad guys are better than your bad guys. And I think when that becomes the rule, then we really have sunk to the depths of communism and corruption.
I think we're there, Sharon. I really do believe we're there. When you talk about morality and religion, that side don't give a darn about either one of them. They really don't.
But our side does.
They are bankrupt. But in the meantime, they take over our country, and we have to suffer from it. Anyway.
Well, I'm still standing here watching the attorneys go to work with the law, and I know it's our best course of action, because if they can declare this election a fraudulent election, null and void, stop the election, stop it now, get these machines out of here. They finally found what we've always known. And what I've known since 2006, when the first election I lost was in a statistical tie, because the guys on the computers said, these machines are only good to 98%. If you lose a race by less than 2%, it's a statistical tie. We can't tell who won, because they're only accurate to 98%. Well, now we know. Now we know for sure. So we have to go back to the paper ballot. We also know that this whole idea of voting early and voting late is all unconstitutional. If you look in the Constitution,
Sharon,
our founding father says there's one day to vote, and everybody votes on that day.
It's here to stay. You know why it's here to stay? Because the other side will be making the rules. That's what
we can't allow them to make the rules, and that's why we've got to be better at the rules than they are.
Well, if they're in charge, they make the rules. Sharon, another thing I want to talk about for a minute or two, and I think I'll talk about it more tomorrow. I think I'll actually take an entire segment and go off on a little bit of a rant.
Oh, and I get to be here for that, because I'm always here with you on the morrow.
Yes, you are. 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. Well, those 70 million people, their job is not over. I really do think it's time for those 70 million people to take to the streets. I think that they need to go to Philadelphia. They need to go to Atlanta, Detroit, Las Vegas, Reno, Phoenix, Arizona, all the places where these fraudulent ballots are being counted. They need to shut those places down. They need to demand new elections in these disputed districts. Sharon, I like you, am a law and order guy, okay? But there's a time where people have to speak out, and let them say to 70 million people in the streets, no, we're not going to, it's already decided. Too late, Piola. The horse is out. The barn door is closed. 70 million people need to act. Get out into the streets. You need to show your civic pride, your civic duty, by shutting these election centers down and demanding new elections. Sharon, no one I've spoke to, when I brought up the idea of new elections, no one out there has agreed with me, seriously. And we talk to a lot of people all the time. He says that can't be done. I say, Sharon, if you get 70 million people in the streets, shutting down the city, shutting down these vote centers, shut down Washington, D.C. if we have to. Shut down Washington, D.C. and demand fair and honest elections, not just for the people that voted for Donald Trump, but also for the people that voted for Joe Biden. Because when one vote is corrupted, they're all corrupted. And in these districts, like Philadelphia, like Atlanta, like Detroit, like Las Vegas, all the votes have been corrupted. Sharon, every one of those votes need to be thrown out from day one, and we need new elections.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And I think as the evidence begins...
You agree with me?
I do. The evidence will prove out that this was a fraudulent election. Once that's proven, there is no remedy because of the secret ballot. We can't take those votes back and sort them out and decide which ones were wrong and which ones were right and who the wrong guys voted for. We can't do that. The only way to right this wrong, the only remedy is a whole new election. Of course, in the meantime, we have to clean out what caused this election to be so fraudulent. Otherwise, we're doing the same old thing and expecting different results. I also agree that it's law and order for us to protest. That is freedom of assembly. Our founding fathers expected us to protest. The thing that I don't agree with is doing it the way the bad guys do it. And I know you don't agree with it either. Because this burning and looting and,
that is totally
violence, that is not totally a peaceful protest, no matter what you call it.
But Sharon, if you get 70 million people in the street, I know they'll listen. It'll shake them to their soul. Yeah, 7 million people. You get 7 million people in the streets, that'll shake them to their soul.
Well, I'm hoping that they're already a bit shaken, even over at Fox, because, we were dyed in the wool. We were dyed in the wool. We watch Fox. My husband hasn't turned on Fox since election night. He can't stand it. And even though there's some folks over there that we like, he says, nope, not going to do it. They need to feel the pain. And I've heard that from others. We're not the only family that said, not in this house anymore. I mean, we did that a long time ago to CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, all of those guys. They didn't get the time of day from the Angle household, but now we put Fox on that list. Their advertisers need to know, we're not going to stand for this.
Bingo.
We want real news. And I'm going to encourage all of our listeners, tell everybody you know, America Uncensored News TV, AUN TV. You can get it over the internet. You can get it in Northern California. And we're expanding as we speak. So it's time that we spoke out. It's time that we told the truth. And it's time that we brought back our dollars. We're not going to spend them on advertisers that advertise on those channels. We're not going to spend them. We're going to make them feel the hurt that we're feeling here by being betrayed.
Well, Sharon, again, Fox News, we've been putting out the alarm about Fox News for some time, and it's called the Murdoch Boys, all right?
Right.
Roger Ailes started Fox News. It was as long as Roger Ailes was in charge, Fox News was going to be what we wanted it to be. But then the Murdochs got involved. Old man Murdoch is like 89 years old. His two sons are big influences on it. The president of Fox News is a former staffer for Joe Biden. Okay, you've got the Ailes boys who are going to eventually take over. They're big-time liberals. And I want to warn you about something else out there. AON and Newsmax. Now, AON and the Newsmax, and I'm not just saying this because you might say, oh, well, they're your competitors. We're no competitor to them. We don't have the reach that they do. However, Newsmax, Google a guy by the name of Christopher Ruddy. Do a Google search on him. Do a Wikipedia search on him. Chris Ruddy is in bed with the Clintons. And when you're in bed with the Clintons, you're in bed with what? You're in bed with the Democrat Party. Okay? So Newsmax, I say cannot be trusted because of that. Then we got AON. And what's going to happen to AON is the same thing that has happened to Fox. AON, with their investors are going to say, look, we've got to reach to the other side to bring some of that other side over to increase our market share, to increase our ratings. They're in for money. I can understand that. So eventually, you're going to get investors with AON who say, oh, we need more of the other side. We need to get more of that market share. They're going to compromise their values also. So who you stuck with? The American Uncensored News Network. As long as I'm alive, it'll never happen here. Sharon, we've got to take a break. You are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Today's show, like all our shows, is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. Sharon and I will be right back.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show on the AUN television network. And my co-host today is Sharon Angle. I am Rick Trader, and for a rebroadcast of our show, check out one of our websites, either ccrshow.com, that's ccrshow.com, or check out the website of the American Uncensored News Network at aun-tv.com. And by the way, we'd love to hear from you. So if you have a program suggestion, guest suggestion, if you want to make a comment, and I've been getting a lot of comments about our shows, emails, some nice, some not so nice, and maybe we'll talk about some of those comments later on in the week. But send us an email, auntv@yahoo.com, auntv@yahoo.com. Sharon, speaking of a guest, who do we have for today?
Well, our first guest today is Ben Johnson. And of course, Ben Johnson is the managing editor of Acton Institute's flagship publication, Religion and Liberty. We've asked him to come on and talk about an article he wrote, Kamala Harris, or Kamala, or however you say her. Kamala Harris.
Just say the woman who used sex to get her start in political life, and they'll know who you're talking about.
Okay. Anyway, that gal, equity versus equality video, endorses injustice and discrimination. So he's going to talk to us about, she ain't what she claims to be. And we need to know that if she's going to be the vice president, which we are fighting very hard to keep that from happening. Our next guest is Hans von Spakovsky, who is an authority on a wide range of issues. He's also with He's a senior legal fellow with the Heritage Foundation's Edwin Meese III Center for Legal and Judicial Studies, but he has been really talking to us steadily about what else but election corruption. And today we're going to talk with Hans about the Trump and supporters wage legal battles across the U.S. to defeat Biden. Here's the rundown. So we're going to get a up-to-date from
Sharon, watch
Hans.
the paper shuffling. It's drowning you out.
Okay, we'll try not to.
Sorry.
I've got my guests on different pieces of paper, and that's what's causing that. So sorry to our listeners. Final shuffle. Tracy Beanz. Tracy Beanz is an investigative journalist and editor-in-chief at Undercover DC, or Uncover DC, I guess is really it. I think it's undercover because sometimes you got to go undercover to get to where you can uncover them. But her sole focus is the truth. She's also written a great article, A Republic If You Can Keep It, and we're interested to hear her take on what has happened.
All right. Sharon, before we went to the break, I talked about the networks. I talked about Fox. I talked about AON. I talked about Newsmax, as well as the American Uncensored News Network. I says that will never happen here as long as I'm alive. Well, we are structuring the American Uncensored News Network to be pure. We don't care. We are and will always be a network that is to the right. And it almost reminds me of a network out there called EWTN, the Eternal Word Network. And that network was created by a nun, Mother Angelica. And Mother Angelica wanted to start a religious Catholic network. She did. She started it from nothing, absolutely zero. And she said as long as she could, it would always be a good media source. Now, Mother Angelica has died, but she left it in the hands of people who also saw Mother Angelica's vision and will continue to take it in that direction. And that's how we are here at AUN TV. We are structuring our little company here, our little corporation, that it will always be manned by someone from the right. So just wanted to mention that.
Well, I think
Sharon, what else?
What else is on my radar? What else
Yes,
could
ma'am.
be on my radar, right? We're in that spot where the only thing we can really talk about is the thing at hand. And of course, we're getting reports in all the time here in Nevada. Everything happened. I remember in 2010 when everything happened, we had reports of the foul play with the electronic voting machines. Well, here we got that again. Foul play with a new machine now. Then it was the Sequoia machines. They have upgraded or downgraded, whatever your point of view is, to the Dominion machine. And now we're hearing that software on the Dominion machine, Scorecard and the Hammer, are making it so that that system can switch votes by 3%. And
Wow.
that was the reason why we were seeing on election night huge shifts of votes in these states that had those voting machines. So there's number one. They should have a new election because anybody that voted on that electronic voting machine should say, I don't believe that my vote counted. Because if the machine is switching votes, which ones of those votes did it switch? And of course, if it switched anybody's vote, it disenfranchised that voter. It made it so their vote doesn't count. So there's number one. Number two, we have dead people who've moved away, and people who don't exist still voting in our elections, and that's coming to light. We won't know for a little while, but although we're working on it hard, how many dead people actually did vote in this election. If dead people are voting contrary to popular belief in Lyndon Johnson era, they don't have the right to vote. Sorry, they're beyond the jurisdiction of the United States once they die, and they shouldn't get resurrected just to go to the polls. We have a funny meme going out there of a tombstone with poor Fred Stokes, who died. He's a career veteran and hero of this country, and yet after his death in 2017, he's voted twice. And I'm not sure that he voted the way he wanted to, because he changed his registration.
After he died.
After he died, his registration changed. So, poor Fred.
That's rich.
And honestly, what a disreputable thing for us to do to a hero, to go and use Fred's name in that way. Here in Nevada, we filed with the Secretary of State some findings yesterday that we have 1,411 people that we've discovered who are registered to vote in Nevada and California. We suspect they voted both places, but here's the kicker. Their residence is in California, and yet they voted in Nevada. So we've got them on two counts here, and you know, everybody's saying, well, even with 1,411 that are obviously a problem, you still haven't come up to the bar of making an impact on the election, because we're talking about 12,000 votes. You're talking about 1,400. Where's the beef? Well, it's that 1,400 plus others that we're looking at. And honestly, if people have seen something in this election, they should say something. On our website, EIPNV, there is an incident report. Please go there. Download that incident report. It has the effect of being a legal document in court. Fill it out. Tell us what you found. Even if you found it in New Jersey, we want to know, even though we're in Nevada. We want to know what you found. If you're in Washington and you say, we haven't had a free state for many, many years now, the elections always go one way. We still want to know. How about Illinois? Do you know what went on there? Tell us about it. And California, everybody's written California off, but I'm going to tell you, California's been the one that's been fighting the hardest, the longest. They lost their state, and they know exactly how they lost it. And guess what? It was through elections. Hello. Election law. And the way that votes are counted in California is what lost them their freedoms in California. So it's being exported to a state near you. Maybe it already has. But we want to know, what did you see? Say something. Fill out that incident report. Send it to us. There's a P.O. box there to send it to. There's also an email address. Contact us there if you want to send it electronically. We're getting reports in from people in California still there. They've got 4 congressional districts over there in the balance. So it's not just the presidential election. Think about it. 4 new congressional seats changes the whole outlook of this country. What's going on in Congress. We go from minority to majority. So we need all hands on deck, as Rick is saying. If you're one of those 70 million, you need to get in here, tell us what you saw. And if what you want to do is just sit in, I agree with Rick. Take your lawn chair down there and sit in front of your Capitol building, sit in front of your registrar's office.
More than sit. People have got to scream. It's no damage.
Well,
no violence.
you know, if you're going to spend a long time there, you may want your lawn chair to scream from. I've seen some pretty loud voices and pretty good sign waving from a old crusty salt from veteran fame, and I've seen them make some real impact. Just, you know, some from wheelchairs. I've seen that. They got their sign, they've got their voice, and they're still fighting for freedom. That's what needs to be done. We need to take to the streets in a peaceful protest, one that's using our voices. We have the freedom of speech still. We still have the freedom of assembly, and we need to begin to use that. And I'm not sure that we're still wearing masks, Rick. Heck,
Sharon,
they
Sharon,
just kind of threw that out the window, didn't they?
Didn't I say that the CDC said that if Donald Trump loses, that on November 10th they were going to end all this craziness? All right, here it is. Here it is. We passed November 10th. While you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show, we'll be right back with Reverend Ben Johnson right after this break.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show on the AON television network. And for a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You'll find our radio show there as well as our TV show. Please share it with a friend. And Sharon, we do have the first guest of the day with us. And as you do with all our guests, please make them feel welcome.
Well, it's always a pleasure and an honor for me to introduce to you our friend Reverend Ben Johnson, who is a managing editor of the Acton Institute's flagship publication, Religion and Liberty. He also works on principles necessary to create a free and virtuous society in the U.S., Canada, and Europe. And his writings have appeared in the United Kingdom's Guardian, Human Events, The Stream, Real Clear Policy, and Conservative Review and the Daily Caller. He's an author of 2 books on tax-exempt foundations, as well as Party of Defeat, which he wrote in 2008 with David Horowitz. And before turning to online journalism and editing, he spent more than a decade in all facets of radio broadcasting, including news and talk. He's also ordained by the Eastern Orthodox Church. So, Reverend Ben Johnson, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thank you. It's so good to be with you. And as I've said many times, I admire you and your career in politics. And in 2010, the biggest heartbreak I had involved you. So probably not as much as perhaps it might have broken your heart. But I and the people of Nevada have been suffering ever since.
Well, those are kind words. And I do think that sometimes the people who supported me suffered more. You know, when you get a little seasoned in politics, you know the chance for you to win and lose is about 50-50. It really depends on a whole lot of factors, which we've been seeing as we speak right here in the recent past and present. You've written an article, Kamala Harris, Equality versus Equity video, endorses injustice and discrimination. Really? Talk a little bit about that video and tell us how you came to that conclusion.
It's pretty startling. And, this is one of those things where it happens every 4 years, particularly when the left thinks that it's just about to triumph. Then they suddenly let their real colors show. It's just the same as Barack Obama 5 days before the election saying we're about to fundamentally transform America. So 2 days before the election, the Sunday before the election, which was only a week ago, of course. Hard to believe this has been the longest month of our lives, but it's only a week long. 2 days before the election, she tweeted out a video called Equity versus Equality. And the text of it, I'll just read very quickly. It shows 2 mountain hikers, white man and a black man, hiking up a mountain. And it says, she begins, so there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests everyone gets the same amount. The problem with that is not everyone's starting from the same place. So if we're all getting the same amount, but you started out back there and I started out over here, we could get the same amount, but you're still going to be that far behind me. It's about giving people the resources and the support they need so that everyone can be on equal footing and then compete on equal footing. Equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place. Now, everything that I just read is wrong, including beginning a sentence with the conjunction so. Okay? All of it. Every bit of it was wrong. It's, first of all, equality doesn't mean everyone gets the same amount. Everyone on Social Security doesn't get the same check every month. That's an equal system, but not everyone gets the same. You get whatever it is that you earned on that system according to its rules based on your actions. And that's what equality means in the traditional understanding of it. Equality means equality before the law. It's very deeply embedded in what it means to be part of the United States and our Western heritage. It goes all the way back to the Bible. God himself said to judges, don't be a respecter of persons. Do not be a respecter of persons, but give equal justice to the rich and the poor alike. And he had to tell them, don't discriminate on behalf of the rich. He said that several times. But there's also a verse in the scripture where he says, do not be partial to the poor. Be equitable toward everyone, which is to say everyone gets the same outcome based on what their actions deserve. And we have the best definition of justice from a U.S. senator, Cicero. Well, not a U.S. senator, I guess, but senator nonetheless, 74 B.C. in the Roman Senate. He said, justice renders to everyone according to his due. So whatever it is that your actions qualify you for, that's what you'll receive at the hands of justice. If you work a full day, you get a full day's wages. If you commit a crime, you get the full sentence that's imparted to that crime. And that passed on into the West. The idea of the West is equal treatment under the law. She would completely obliterate that. And it's something we have to understand, that this is revolutionary. This is truly turning society upside down, this idea of substituting so-called equity for equality. Equity, what she means by that is that instead of treating people according to what they deserve, your actions don't really matter anymore. The only thing that matters is your skin color, or your sex, or which one of the 52 flavors of gender identity you happen to identify with. That's really all that matters. Everything else is submerged into one of those categories. And instead of treating people equally based on their actions, she wants groups to have the same outcome. So until all white people and black people and whites and blacks as a group, and men and women as a group, and cisgender and gender identities have the same amount as a group, then we won't be able to stop. Where really all this comes from is from one of the best-selling books of this year, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. You've heard of this critical theory that's going around. Donald Trump had an executive order to get it out of the executive branch. If Joe Biden happens to be the one whose hands on the Bible next January, one of the first things he's going to do is bring it right back in. And this was signaling we're going to completely get rid of equal justice, get rid of equality under the law, and replace it. Now, this is a passage from that book, which I quote in an article that I wrote for the blog at acton.org, acton.org. Racial discrimination is not inherently racist. The defining question is whether the discrimination is creating equity, there's that word, or inequity. If discrimination is creating equity, then it's anti-racist. If discrimination is creating inequity, then it is racist. He goes on to talk about temporarily assisting an underrepresented racial group into relative wealth and power. And then he ends with these kind of Orwellian words: the only remedy to racist discrimination is anti-racist discrimination. The only remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The only remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. So I added that last part, but it does make you think of George Orwell's words that some animals are more equal than others. And that's the sort of substitution that we're going to create in place of the American constitutional system and equal justice, equality under the law. Kamala Harris is proposing a kind of a radical racial Rawlsianism. We have this bureaucratic system that will replace equality under the law with Lady Justice who's constantly peeping over a blindfold to see who it is who's standing in front of her.
So I guess it brings a couple of questions to mind. The first one is, so when do we all get to be equal with Kamala Harris? She certainly has more money than I do. She has more privilege than I do. When can I be equal with her? Is that tomorrow? I mean, when does that happen? Does it ever happen?
Now, you see, that doesn't happen. That's the problem. You see, you're thinking like someone who's from a Western society. You're thinking about equality. And personal equality doesn't happen. It's about the group. So Kamala Harris might have to take millions upon millions more personally just so that the two groups can be equal. She might have to be the one person who actually benefits from the system in order to equalize them. But personal equality is not on their agenda. Equal treatment isn't on their agenda. It's all about group identity. And so you're constantly seeing this, she's a history-making figure. She's a woman and she's a racial minority twice over. And so she's history-making in that sense. And all of that's true. And I'm glad that what that shows is that we have a system where anyone can progress under the current system. So we probably don't need to transform it. If we have had a black president, now a black vice president, and a female vice president, and an Indian American vice president from the West Indies, so West Indian background. So all of that tells me the system we've got works pretty well, and it's definitely worked pretty well for Kamala Harris, who has worked the system better than most.
But sadly, it's not going to work so well for my friend Geneva, even though she's of the same place that Kamala Harris is. She's a black woman, but she's living on Social Security and Medicaid and in Title 10 housing. But so sorry, you belong to the right group. You're just not going to get all the benefits of being in that group, I guess. Is that what she's saying?
Yeah, you've got this unusual kind of dichotomy of means here where Kamala Harris is saying all the groups should be equal. And she talks about competition and things like that. But when you get into what she's really in favor of, there's no competition whatever. What she's talking about is equality of outcome, not equality of opportunity. Now, I think all three of us believe in equality of opportunity. You should be able to climb as high as your talents can take you. Mm-hmm. And I wish we had better schools throughout the country. whether it's minority systems or Appalachian rural areas or other areas, wherever we have poorly performing schools, people should have an option to go to a highly performing school, even if it's just online, whatever it may be. But people should have that option for something that's highly performing. People should be able to take the talents that they get from that educational system and use them in the free market system to as much as they can be rewarded. But instead, what you end up with is this system where it's all about group, and ultimately that equity is going to be handed over to the government, and they'll pass it around. When you hear about this difference between equality and equity, maybe the best way to think of it is this way, which is most people know the term equity from one place, which is their mortgage, right? You have equity in your home. If you need to, you can take a second mortgage and so on. So you've got that equity there. What this system wants you to do is take the equity out of your home and give it to the government, and they're going to take that equity and give it to the people they think deserve it more than you do. So that's how to think of this whole proposal of equity versus equality.
Well,
what you just said there, Reverend, reminds me of a scene from Dr. Zhivago. If you remember when Dr. Zhivago went back to his home in Moscow and it was taken over by the party, and there was 10 families living in his family's house, Sharon, I'll let you take us to a break.
I will. Of course, they've thrown out all men are created equal. I think that's really the bottom line here. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos radio show networks and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM/FM 24/7. You can also see us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. Great places like San Francisco, San Rafael, Marin, North Bay, on and on. And soon to come into Nevada. We are talking with our guest, Reverend Ben Johnson, about an article that he wrote, Kamala Harris Equality versus Equity Video Endorses Injustice and Discrimination. I'm Sharon Engel here with my co-host Rick Trader, and we'll be right back.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free, no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these. fees, dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and zero deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And I wanted to give a shout out to folks who are listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and now in Sparks, Nevada, Sharon Engel, we have a new station in Sparks, Nevada. Also wanted to give a shout out to folks who are watching us on the AIUN Television Network in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Redding, and very soon in Carson City and Reno. Reverend Ben Johnson is our guest. He is a managing editor for the Acton Institute flagship's publication, Religion and Liberty. Reverend Johnson, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos.
Thank you so much, Rick.
I have to say, for our listeners and viewers out there, if I should slip and say Ben, I've known Ben for a long time. I've known Reverend Johnson before he was a reverend, so if I should slip, please understand that. Reverend Johnson.
I've been called a lot worse things, so between friends, no harm, no foul.
Well, we've always enjoyed having you here on the Conservative Commandos radio show. You've always brought such good insight to our program. Reverend Johnson, this is really, really scary times, I do believe, for Christians. How are you seeing things with the possibility of the most leftist administration in the history of our country taking control in a matter of a couple of months?
Well, you're right. This is going to be a radical reshaping of America. If this is what is to come upon us, particularly when you see this idea of throwing out equality before the law, which is the bedrock of what it means to be an American. We believe that all men are created equal, by the thing. And that's really what it means. It's in our founding documents. We believe that it's the cornerstone of justice. And so to change that, to overturn that, is going to be particularly harmful to Christians because we're on the wrong side of every equation, no matter how you look at it. If it's a gender identity, Christians believe male and female created he, them, and that God doesn't make mistakes. And so, God doesn't make any trash. God created you perfect, unique, unrepeatable. God created you exactly the way that he intended you to be. And, he's given a form for us to use our gifts for him and for his glory. And so that's our gender is a part of that, whether that's, in marriage for most of us or in a monastic calling for a very, very small percentage. But whatever it may be, we've been given this gender, particularly as a gift from God, that our sexuality is a gift from God within the proper framework, which is to say monogamous marriage between a man and a woman. And you see that the groups that are favored by the incoming administration, if it so be, like Black Lives Matter, dedicate themselves specifically to, quote unquote, disrupting the nuclear family, the traditional family of male and female. When you look at what ends up happening, for those who are raised without a father in the home particularly, they're far more likely not to graduate high school. They have lower educational attainment, more likely to commit crime, more likely to do drugs, to be alcoholic, to end up in prison. All of those things affect the overall equity in society, you end up draining out all of the human capital. And so people who could have been sturdy pillars of their community could have gone on to open businesses and give jobs or been good teachers in their local schools end up in prison because they have no one there to direct them and help them. So that's I think, dangerous not just for Christians, but for all of society.
Reverend Johnson, talking about Christians and society, what about people that say that Jesus was a socialist? How do you respond to that when people say that Jesus was a socialist, or Jesus wanted us to be socialists, or Jesus lived as a socialist?
Yeah, well, I hear that all the time, and first of all, this is why you should always consult an expert. So,
hey, we are
right. So, and Pope Francis may feel differently than I do on certain issues, but nonetheless, the teaching of the Roman Catholic Church, as well as the Eastern Orthodox Church, and the Bible, which is definitive for all churches, is very clear. I'm going to read to you from the Bible. I always have a Bible with me. I'm going to read to you everything that Jesus said about creating government programs to benefit people. That's
there it is.
That's all I thought. When people came to Jesus and asked him about the government, he said, "Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, to God the things that are God's." And there's a difference between the things that we must do as citizens and the things we must do as Christians. As Christians, we will give everything that we have directly to someone who is homeless, directly to people who are hurting. But under no conditions whatever did Jesus say, take up a collection and give it to Caesar so that he can distribute it. For the most part, Christians didn't do well when they interacted with Caesar or the Roman government. And it's still the case today, as we were just talking about with the incoming administration. Mm-hmm. Jesus, when he tells us to share, he doesn't say, have the government reach into somebody else's pocket and take their money and give it to somebody else. He says, you. When the people were following him in the desert, and there were 5,000 people, and the apostles came and said, send them away, he said, you give them something to eat. So, and they shared what they had, and it was miraculously multiplied by God. He fed thousands. So we have that. And, even when he was asked to intervene in things, there's a story in the scriptures where these two brothers are contesting a matter of money. And one of them says, make him give me what's mine. Make him give what I've got coming to him. He probably was getting the short end of the stick. Jesus said, who made me a judge over you? Who told me to intervene in your affairs when it comes to earthly things?
That's what government is trying to do. That's what Kamala Harris is saying that the role of government is. And every time, it kind of fries me, because every time someone else is given more rights, those rights come from somebody else. And in doing so, they're losing rights. Reverend Ben Johnson, we've got to go. We've enjoyed having you with us here in the Conservative Commandos. Please tell our audience how they could read what you write, follow your work.
Well, I'd be delighted to. Thank you. You can check out my blog. I blog at blog.acton.org. And you can follow me on Twitter at The Rights Writer, as long as they allow me there. I'm also on Parler at Rev Ben Johnson. And you can find me on Facebook, The Rights Writer, the RIGHTS, like the Bill of Rights, Writer, WRITER. It was a dumb handle, but I've stuck with it all these years. So you can find me there. And be sure and listen to Conservative Commandos each and every day as well.
Oh, thank you for that, Reverend Ben Johnson. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to have another longtime friend join us, Hans von Spakosky, who's an authority on a wide range of issues from the Heritage Foundation. Hans is going to join us to talk about an article he wrote, Trump and supporters waged legal battles across the U.S. to defeat Biden. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, we want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for a rebroadcast of our show, either a TV show or a radio show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Hey, be sure to like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And Sharon, we have another longtime friend back with us, and please make that introduction.
We certainly do. Our good friend Hans von Spakosky is with us. He's an authority on a wide range of the issues, including civil rights, civil justice, and the First Amendment, immigration, the rule of law, and government reform. And he's a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Edwin Meese III Center for Legal and Judicial Studies. His analysis and commentary have appeared in the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Times, Politico, Human Events, National Review, Online and Townhall, and along with John Fund, he's the co-author of Who's Counting? How Fraudsters and Bureaucrats Put Your Vote at Risk, and of course another book, Obama's Enforcer, Eric Holder's Justice Department. Hans, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, Sharon, thanks for having me.
Your book couldn't be more timely. It's an interesting thing how you wrote something that's going to come around and come around and come around, at least right now. Who's counting? How fraudsters and bureaucrats put your vote at risk. And you've written a new article, Trump and supporters wage legal battles across the U.S. to defeat Biden. Here's the rundown. I guess what we want more than a rundown is hope, don't we? I guess the people of America are just stunned by what's being told to us. Voting machines have gone nuts. People are come back from the grave to vote. Many things that you've warned about continuously throughout your career. This is what's going on in our system. And it seems like it's all come to a very fine point. Right now, everybody seems to be seeing it, no matter what side of the aisle they're on. And now they're up in arms. Is there any hope?
Well, look, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but boy, I wish all of the attention on this had been around for the past couple of years when I and John Fund and others were talking about it. But look, here's the problem that the Trump campaign faces. In order to, they have to compile and find substantial evidence that the results of elections in particular states were compromised, either through illegal votes or misconduct by election officials and others. In any election, that's very difficult to do, particularly in the very short amount of time you usually have after an election to contest it. In a presidential race like this, it's really difficult to compile enough evidence to convince a court to overturn an election. And like I said, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but we have to be realistic about this. And look, Rudy Giuliani has been out there saying that they are gathering evidence of all kinds of problems. And the Pennsylvania lawsuit that they just filed makes some pretty serious allegations, which, if they can prove, bring up the issue of whether the outcome actually of the election was compromised and changed by the problems they cite. But like I said, it's a real uphill legal battle for them.
So we have a lawsuit filed in Pennsylvania,
right?
And where else? Go now. Let's take us through the rundown. Where do they have lawsuits already filed? They're contesting.
Well, they had filed, and it's not just the Trump campaign. There have been other groups and organizations that have also filed in Michigan. There are claims being made in Wisconsin, in Nevada, and also in Arizona. Georgia, I think they're still organizing a lawsuit there, although there was a suit filed shortly after Election Day that apparently didn't get anywhere because the lower court or trial judge ruled against the campaign. So in all of these different lawsuits, there are various things being alleged that they say compromise the outcome. It's everything from state officials, for example, in Michigan, Detroit, in Philadelphia, violating state laws that require observers to be allowed to watch the processing, handling, and counting of absentee ballots. In Pennsylvania, they're also making the claim that the receipt of absentee ballots after Election Day was illegal. The state Supreme Court there extended the state-imposed deadline. The state-imposed deadline is the end of Election Day for the receipt of absentee ballots. And they're asking the courts to basically not count any of the absentee ballots that were received after Election Day because they say they're not valid. But look, just keep in mind, Sharon, that the larger the margin of victory, the tougher your job is, because it's one thing to show that in a race where it was 1,000 vote difference, that there were 1,000 invalid votes cast. When the difference is 45,000 votes, as it is in Pennsylvania, that's a tough road to go down.
Okay, so you use the word overturn, and people are thinking, well, by that you mean that all of those, if they were to prove those 45,000 votes,
right,
perhaps are fraudulent, that they would all go over to the Trump side. That's really not the case, is it?
No, it's not. For example, again, going back to the Pennsylvania case, if they were successful in convincing the courts to not count all of the absentee ballots that were received after Election Day, after the state-imposed deadline, then I'm sure the remedy that would be ordered would be to simply not include those ballots in the final count. Now, what we don't know is how many ballots did they receive after after Election Day. You know, on Friday, the U.S. Supreme Court, Justice Alito, ordered officials there to segregate those ballots, not to stop counting them, but to segregate them and count them separately. But what we don't know is, were election officials following that order? And since it only came in Friday, right, 4 days after the election, were ballots already mixed in with all the other ballots? So we don't really know if a remedy would even be possible if they found in favor of the campaign.
So when we talk about remedies, possible remedies, I've actually been to court in 2006 challenging an election. It was less than 5%, so 433 votes was what I lost by. They said it was a statistical tie, less than 0.5%. Nobody knows what the outcome was, really. And the judge told me unless I could find the 433 fraudulent votes, I didn't have a case. And even if I did, the remedy was a new election, because even though you proved that the election was fraudulent across the board, you can't tell how those fraudulent voters voted because of the secret ballot. So talk to me a little bit about the remedy for a fraudulent election in the United States. In these states, is it different for everyone, or, you know, how will that go?
Well, there are different standards in different states, but the judge in your case made a key error. If you can prove that there were, 450 something fraudulent votes, it's not necessary to prove who those votes went for. The fact that there were enough fraudulent votes to cover the margin of victory meant that you really didn't know who won the election. And what he should have done, frankly, is ordered a new election. That judge made a grievous error with that ruling.
Well, that seems to be what we're going to be kind of up against. Are we going to have judges who make grievous errors in their rulings? You describe the uphill battle. Talk a little more about what happens when you get to court.
Well, as I said, judges are not going to overturn an election unless you can provide substantial, in fact, I think almost overwhelming evidence of problems affecting all the votes that are in the margin of victory. And unless you can provide that, they're not going to overturn an election, because even when they've got the kind of evidence, judges are just very reluctant to overturn elections, because there's this whole principle that we want finality in our elections. So those kind of cases are, as you experience, are very difficult to win. And look, they're difficult in a local race. They're difficult in a state legislative race. They're difficult in a congressional race. Winning that kind of a case in a presidential race is really, really hard.
Really, really hard. And I think that the last question that was on my mind, at least, is, so we do bring all of that evidence in. So they call a new election. There's a timeline here. How quickly do we have to get this in? Even if we have all of this, how fast do we have to act?
Well, see, that's the other thing that I think is going to maybe keep judges from acting, and that is the fact that the Electoral College, as you know, meets on December 14th to cast their votes. So by that time, every state has to have a determination of the outcome in their state so that they know which set of electors get to go to the state capitol and cast their votes, whether it's the electors that pledge to vote for the Republican candidate or the electors who pledge to vote for the Democratic candidate. So, look, all the judges and the courts involved in this case know and understand they have to act within days, which, again, just makes it even more difficult to gather enough evidence to show that a statewide election has been compromised.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Net Talk America, and AM/FM 24/7. Of course, you can watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California. I'm Sharon Engel, here with my co-host, Rick Trader, and we've been talking with Hans von Spakosky, a notable expert in the field now of where we live, which is, does this election really count? Is it legitimate? And does my vote count? More importantly, where do we go from here? We'll be right back after this message.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing one-day bath and shower remodeling. The complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day. And for as little as $1.99 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. We share an angle, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And once again, for rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Also, check out the website of the American the American Uncensored News Network and the other great shows there. Our guest this segment is Hans von Spakosky. He's an authority on a wide range of issues from the Heritage Foundation, and we're talking about Trump and his supporters waged legal battles across the U.S. to defeat Biden, and this is the rundown. Hans, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Sure thing.
Hans, in your article, you talk about moving forward, and you say there are two things that we should keep in mind. First, gathering the evidence of misconduct, fraud, and other problems that may have compromised an election is extremely difficult and expensive. When you talk about expensive, how expensive is expensive? And do you think that Republicans, the Trump side, has the money to do it?
Well, I mean, let me give you an example of what I mean. There are allegations that in Nevada, there were thousands of people who actually live in California, but registered to vote in Nevada. Well, how are you going to prove that? You're going to have to call, investigators are going to have to call or visit every single voter to try to find out whether that's true or not. Think how much time that's going to cost just to contact, let's say it's 1,000 voters. Well, how much time and how much is it going to cost to contact and interview 1,000 voters to figure that out? And if the margin of victory is 10,000 voters or 20 or 30, I mean, think about how expensive that's going to be. Look, part of the problem here is a lot of this is too little too late. What should have been happening over the past few years is the Justice Department should have been suing states like Nevada for not maintaining the accuracy of their voter rolls. That's a requirement under federal law. And do you know that in the last 12 years, so the 4 years of the Trump administration, the 8 years of the Obama administration, not a single lawsuit was filed by the very liberal part of the Justice Department, the Civil Rights Division, to enforce that particular provision of the motor voter law.
Two things that should be kept in mind. Number two, courts are usually very reluctant to overturn election results, even with substantial evidence of possible problems that raise questions about the legitimacy of the outcome.
Right. And that, like I said, is a very big issue. As I said, there's this principle that we want finality to our election. We don't want a situation where every time a candidate loses, they go to court and sue, and judges, willy-nilly are willing to overturn election results. So, like I said, you have a substantial burden of proof that you have to meet as a candidate before a court will consider overturning an election. It happened. We saw it just recently in Paterson, New Jersey, as you know. We saw it 2 years ago in the 9th Congressional District in North Carolina, where a absentee ballot fraud scheme affected the margin of victory in that case, and a new election was ordered by the State Board of Elections.
Hans, can we add a third element to this? Time.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. You have almost no time in which to contest an election after it's been certified. And here we have this other deadline, which of course is the December 14th meeting of the Electoral College.
Hans, maybe I watch too much football, but it seems like sometimes when there's a call on the field, the official says, please reset the clock. With Judge Alito getting involved here and telling Pennsylvania what they must do, is there any possibility that a court could say, let's reset the clock, let's reset the count to where it was at a specific time and date?
Well, like I said, they could decide, if they're able to segregate the ballots, that all absentee ballots that were received after Election Day should not be included in the count. I mean
time, like at, say, midnight on election night. Can they go and says what the count was at that time is the count? All ballots that were counted after that get thrown out.
No, I don't think that would work, because you can go to any state where they enforce the deadline to receive absentee ballots by the end of Election Day, and there's no way they would have gotten all of those counted by that evening. It could take days, depending on how many absentee ballots were received, to finish counting them after Election Day. So I don't think that actually would be an appropriate remedy.
So I got to ask you a question a little bit off topic, but you wrote the book, Obama's Enforcer, Eric Holder's Justice Department. In a Biden administration, can we see Eric Holder, the possibility of the Eric Holder coming back in our lives again?
No, he left the administration, and now he's making a fortune as a partner in a big Washington law firm. I don't think he would want to give that up. There are plenty of other, unfortunately, shady characters that may get chosen to be the head of the Justice Department, who unfortunately may be just as political as he was when he ran the department. And by the way, John Fund and I wrote a second book, not about voter fraud, but about Eric Holder and how he ran the department, and he politicized it to an extent never seen before.
Well, maybe we'll see it again. I hope not.
I hope not either.
And again, you wrote the book that Sharon was referring to, Who's Counting, How Fraudsters, Bureaucrats Put Your Vote at Risk. Hans, I've been saying this for about 3 years, that Donald Trump really, really needs to do something about voter fraud. Now, I'm nobody. I'm not even the brightest bulb on the tree. I'm kind of like a little dummy. That's why I bring you on here. I could foresee this happening, Hans.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And not enough was done about it over the past few years with prosecutors across the country not investigating potential cases of fraud and not doing prosecutions. And that's just very unfortunate.
Hans, of the lawsuits that are out there, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, and the others, which do you think has the best, or can you say, does one of those lawsuits in particular have the best prospects for Trump winning? Or
I would say probably it's the Pennsylvania case, which we keep mentioning, because, as I said, look, the Constitution very clearly gives the authority to state legislatures to set up what the rules are for federal elections, not state governments in particular, but state legislatures. The point of that is if the state legislature, Pennsylvania, had wanted to extend the absentee ballot deadline to 3 days after the election, it could have done that. That would have been within its power. But it's not. But the state Supreme Court does not have that constitutional authority. So I think they've actually got a very strong constitutional argument when it comes to that case.
All right. Hans von Spakosky, Heritage Foundation. Hans, we always love having you on. Please tell our audience how they could follow your work and read your articles and also the work of the Heritage Foundation.
Sure. They go to heritage.org, heritage.org, and find all of our work. And we have an issue page called Election Integrity that covers all of these issues.
All right. And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be joined by Tracy Beanz. She's an investigative journalist and the editor-in-chief of Uncovered DC. We're going to talk about what's going on in Washington and also a republic if we can keep it. Don't go away. We'll be right back right after this break.
Attention homeowners, do you have a house that's in need of serious repairs? Do you have tenants that never seem to make their monthly payments? How about code violations, past due taxes, or maintenance costs you just can't afford? Then call my friends right now at Quick Cash Offer. They specialize in buying any home, no matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half. or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
And once again, we want to welcome you back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for a rebroadcast of our show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Also, check out the website of aun-tv.com. That's the American Uncensored News Network. And Sharon, we do have our next guest with us, and another longtime friend of the show, and please make that introduction.
Well, it's always my honor and pleasure to introduce, as you said, our longtime friend, Tracy Beanz, who's an investigative journalist and an editor-in-chief at Uncover DC, whose sole focus is the truth. How refreshing. While writing for Uncover DC, she has brought the intricate details of several major stories to light, including corruption at the highest levels of government. Her tireless dedication has earned her a reputation for a dogged commitment to the truth. A sought-after guest on major talk radio and television shows, she's also a social media phenomena. In addition to her website, Tracy hosts a popular podcast and has amassed nearly 245,000 Twitter followers, garnering retweets from other influential people, including the president, members of Congress, and notable newsmakers. Tracy, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hey guys, I'm so glad to be here. I miss you. It's always such a great time talking to you, so I'm glad to be here tonight.
Well, we're glad to have you. And, we want to talk to you about an article that you wrote, A Republic, If You Can Keep It. Oh my gosh, we're all feeling the pain here. I think that when Benjamin Franklin said that, it just echoes now through history at us. We have a republic, and I know that many of us are wondering if we still have it after last Tuesday, if we will ever have another free and honest election in the United States. What do you think, Tracy?
I think that's like one of the things that people don't really grasp from the other side of the fence, not even the aisle, because there's a lot of Republicans or quote Republicans that fall in this category, is that this is not about a President Trump right now. This is about the protection of our country. If we allow what's going on right now to continue, we will never again have another honest election in the United States of America. And with this, the Republic will fall. There is absolutely no question about that. And I think that even President Trump understands that right now, that he's not fighting for his reelection, he's fighting for the country.
Well, you're right. And we're out here trying to fight for him and not really getting a whole lot of good guidance as to what to do next. I think in some ways this caught the nation by surprise. Some of us were watching and said, look out, here this comes. What do you think really happened? Were we caught by surprise? Were we saying, look out, here this comes? We knew it was coming, but there was nothing that we could do to stop the train. Where do you think we really fall in this?
I think that the problem is that none of us expected the malfeasance to be as horrible as it actually is. We knew that, this would happen. We knew that the elections wouldn't necessarily be secure. We knew that random mail-in ballots would be a problem. We knew all of this. However, I was completely struck with how many of these ballots seem to have been fraudulently cast. Usually you see machine fraud, right? That's been something that's been talked about for years. And there was machine fraud. We have evidence of machine fraud in a few different places. But the turnout this election for President Trump was just so massive. I mean, in Pennsylvania, you're looking at 700 to 800,000 additional votes that seemingly came out of thin air. That's something to behold for sure.
For sure. Well, I know when it hit me in 2010 in Nevada, of course, I guess I have to preface this. Most people ask me the question, did Harry Reid steal the election? And, you know, my experience was that at 7 o'clock I was ahead by 5 to 15 points, and by 10 after 7 I had lost that election by 5 points, which was a shift of 9.3% in every race. Actually, they had a ballot, they shifted a slate, and they shifted it 9.3% all the way down that ticket, not regardless of which party you were, you got a shift, which is statistically impossible. And we saw everything. I mean, they pulled out the kitchen sink here to change this vote. We saw it in the machines. We saw it in busing of people in. We saw it in absentee ballot fraud, and also in impersonation, dead people voting. Everything that they could pull out, they did. And now that's what I'm seeing again in this election. It seems like everything was thrown at us.
Yeah, no, legitimately. And, you know, in Nevada, Rick Grinnell and Matt Schlapp, they're referencing the Harry Reid machine there every time they come to that microphone. And, you know, it's I think a case of so many candidates. I've spoken to several candidates who have lost by slivers or by percentage points, and they know there was fraud, and most of them just give up. You know, most of them just let it go. They don't really push it. They don't have the money. They don't have the willpower. And that, I think, is what has allowed it to get so bad. And now we're at a point where this gentleman, President Donald Trump, will not just let this go. And, you know, this action that he's taking will affect down ballot races as well, which is why I think the message has gone out, don't anybody concede anywhere. And it's going to really, if we can do this, and we can, we're really on the brink of taking back the House of Representatives with the North Carolina announcement today. The Senate races are safe. The Senate is safe. We can really do something and enact meaningful election reform at the federal level. And I really hope that happens, because we can't continue like this every cycle.
Now, when you say they're saying don't concede any place, so they're just talking about the battleground states, or are they even talking about places like Illinois where, heck, you know, they always win up there? Are we talking about every state? Are we standing strong across the board, or just in the battleground states?
You know, we really should be standing strong across the board. I've read so many comments from people in California who are just beside themselves, screaming, you know, we worked so hard. Why are you ignoring us out here? Why? And it's a shame, because they really, you know, this really needs to be an across-the-board thing. But I think in any state where there's a contested result right now, or a contested certification, they're telegraphing to everybody just to stand strong and not concede the race, because the second that happens, it's perceived as a weakness.
Absolutely. And then the onus comes on you. You said you lost, and now you say you're winning. Prove it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that's the media propaganda in all of this is absolutely terrifying as well. I mean, it could be a whole nother half-hour conversation about how they're playing with the American people right now. And they're a part of this. You know, didn't Al Gore concede it and took it back? I mean, it's not a legally binding thing, but it's used as a cudgel, and that's what they do.
And that's what they do. I'm glad you mentioned California. They have, I believe, 4 congressional seats there that are really in a good place to claim that this was a fraudulent election. And that would change the whole complexion of our Congress, wouldn't it, if those 4 seats were to be able to prove this?
It absolutely would, and I believe there were 4 or 5 that we flipped already in California. I mean, California, you know, you saw thousands and thousands of people in the streets of LA and San Francisco. This is not a normal phenomenon, and I seriously I say that there had to have been close to 80 million Americans who came out to vote this time around, and that's quite, at least on the Republican side, I should say, and that's quite a feat. It's an overwhelming statement, a resounding statement about what the country wants this country to look like moving forward. And, to just flat out ignore the will of all those people. And the thing that bothers me the most is this, and not a lot of people are talking about it. There is a claim right now, there's something like 500,000 votes countrywide that have gone only to Biden and none of the down ticket races. And I think either this was a consequence of laziness, or they just don't care about whether or not the House and the Senate have power. And that's frightening. And I think everybody should be paying close attention to that, because if the presidency is that important to them, there's a reason why. And it's because there's going to be an authoritarian rule in the seat of the presidency.
Well, now that you mention those ones that are only marked for one candidate, and that's the president, it's very rare that people will do that. And if you're voting on an electronic machine, it reminds you you've left some places blank. So it's an intentional, I leave that blank decision. Plus, if you're voting on a mail-in ballot, it's so much quicker to just mark one race and send that ballot in if you are of a criminal mindset, isn't it, Tracy?
It is, or if you're sitting at a table filling them out, randomly as you're sitting there, it's also very easy to mark one circle and move along. But it doesn't translate. So that didn't happen at all on the Republican side of the ticket at all. It doesn't make any sense, that you've got 500 votes here and there where somebody voted just for the president, not tens of thousands and even hundreds of thousands. So it's something that they're looking into, I know. And there are so many instances of fraud or alleged fraud in this election. In even just Pennsylvania, the list is monumental. It is terrifying to read, and it needs to be fixed.
Well, like they say, the left's always overplaying their hand. So I guess that's what we need to hope in this election is that they've overplayed their hand one more time, and that they thought they couldn't get caught, but by overplaying their hand, they really are caught. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, NetTalk America, and AM/FM 24/7. Of course, you can always watch us on the AUN TV network in Northern California, soon coming into Nevada. I'm Sharon Angle, here with my co-host, Rick Trader. We're talking with our guest, longtime friend, Tracy Beanz, who's an investigative journalist solely focusing on the truth with her editor-in-chief position at Uncover DC. We'll be right back after these messages.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free, no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. And it's shout-out time for folks who are listening to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas, and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, as well as Washington, D.C., and also seen on the AUN television network in San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Wine Country, Redding, very soon in Carson City and in Reno. Tracy Beanz is our guest. She's an investigative reporter, also editor-in-chief at Uncover DC, and we're talking about a republic if you can keep it. Tracy, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time.
Oh,
Tracy,
thanks for having me. This is always great.
Tracy, in your article, you say many of you have witnessed the abject fraud and manipulation taking place across the country over the past few days. Tracy, I see it, you see it, millions of people have seen it, but yet the other side wants to totally ignore it and say it never happened. Well, Tracy, why are we losing this narrative?
I don't think we are losing the narrative. I think it's very easy to feel like we are when we have big machines cramming down our throats. But let me tell you something. I've been in the past several days at several of these rallies that have popped up across the country. I've been traveling quite a bit, and I'm going to tell you right now, the American people are fired up. Whether or not you're seeing it on television doesn't really matter. We're super fired up and tired of this, and I think that this is really the last straw. With North Carolina coming in today for President Trump, I am very confident in justice this time around. It's just too overwhelming of a thing for it to go unnoticed. And not only that, but a lot of the people on the left on Twitter will come at you and say, if we investigate this, your races are going to be affected by fraud too, as though we are concerned about that. Honestly, across the board, we just want an honest election. I don't care if we lost honestly. If we lost honestly, it stinks, and we've got to do a better job next time. But to just ignore it's almost backwards. Like, how do you think that way?
Tracy, you were talking about these 450,000 ballots that only have one vote on it for Joe Biden, no other candidate. Tracy, for something like that to happen, that had to be a massive conspiracy. A massive conspiracy. And I would think that it's such a massive conspiracy, it would be very hard to keep quiet about. For instance, there are groups out there that are actually putting together cash bounties for people to come forward with information on voter fraud. James O'Keefe is one of them. He's offering $25,000 for people to come forward with voter fraud information. Tracy, and you were talking about, you've been at several rallies. You're going to be at a rally Saturday in Washington, D.C., and I've been saying here on our show, Tracy, 70 million people voted for Donald Trump. 70 million people are now having their vote stolen from them. I'm calling for those 70 million people to get off their butt, out of their doors, go to rallies like this, talk to neighbors, find information, report that information. Talk to me, Tracy. I mean, when we brought you on, you say you're a therapist anymore. Give us the 411 information of some concrete information. What can people do? Where can they go?
Absolutely. Definitely get up and go out. And if you can make a trip up to D.C. this weekend, it's the time to be there. Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham tweeted out this event. This is going to be they need to see us. They need to hear us. They need to know that we care about this. Otherwise, the drive to do anything about it plummets, right? Not only that, but listen to this. Let's get some hopeful information out there to folks, okay?
Yes.
Yesterday, Attorney General William Barr wrote a memo explaining that typically there's a period after the election is certified in which you do some investigative work if there's allegations of fraud. But he said something very specific. He said, I want you to begin to investigate allegations of fraud. In parentheses, he said something to the effect of, I have already instructed this to begin in some places. So there have been some investigations that have been started, and then close parentheses, where the outcome of the investigation, should there be fraud, is enough to change the direction of the race for a state for a federal election. In other words, if the fraud is so great it can flip a state, please look into it. If that's the case, and William Barr has already done that, as he's told us, that means that there is actionable information of widespread and very severe voter fraud that's being looked into right now. Not only that, but the lawsuits and the Supreme Court have this. And a lot of these states, the judges decided they were going to change election law and change deadlines. And this Supreme Court case that's sitting there right now, just waiting for some action within the next day or two, I believe, is going to be a ripple effect across the country. Because if the Supreme Court rules that, in fact, the courts cannot change election law without the consent of the legislature, then many of these races will be overturned and changed, and the results will be changed, strikingly so. Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. It's going to be a serious thing, and that's where I think this is going to end up, at least in part.
Tracy Beanz, one of the biggest fans you have out there is that Rick Trader guy. You know that, right?
Thanks, Rick.
But you wrote something in your article that you wrote, everyone in the United States should want fair elections. Tracy, not so much. That whole other side, I believe the last thing they want is fair and honest elections, because they know they will not win a fair and honest election. It's to their advantage. It's their advantage for the what's going on to continue to go on, because that's the only way they stay in power. Tracy's by stealing elections, by election fraud.
You're right, and it's been documented time and time again. And that's the reason for the censorship on social media. They cannot have our ideas permeate, because our ideas are popular and they're understandable and they're logical and they're just. So they censor us on social media. Same thing here. They cannot. Their ideas are horrible. They're un-American, and nobody wants them. At least not, in large part across the country. Even today, if you take a look at this electoral map, drill down into some of these states that Biden supposedly won, and look at the states. They're red. It is a wave sea of red everywhere. The American people do not want this anymore. We do not want socialism. We do not want tyranny. We do not want this authoritarian rule. We do not want this, and it's being rammed down our throat right now, and it cannot stand.
Tracy, you're going to be speaking at Stop the Steal, a rally in Washington, D.C., Saturday, November 14th. Tracy, do you have information as to where our viewers, where our listeners can go to find out more about that rally?
Sure, they can go to stopthesteal.us. That's stopthesteal.us, or they can actually head over to another website. Let me just pull it up really quickly. You can pull it up at, bear with me here. Hold on. There's another website called March for Trump. It's called March for Trump. You can go to trumpmarch.com. That's trumpmarch.com, and find information about this event.
Tracy Beanz, editor-in-chief at Uncover DC. We always love having you on, Tracy, except for one thing. We don't get you on often enough. We need to get you on more often. Tell that Dave Mulhall.
I know, and
that.
Look, you're not the only one. I haven't really been doing any radio. I've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you'll know about very soon, and you'll understand why I've been so quiet. We'll put it that way.
That's terrific. Tracy Beanz, always great to speak with you. Take care, and God bless.
Thank you so much.
And you are listening to and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show. We share an angle, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Avoid disappointment and future regret. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be right back right after this quick break.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, But where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free...
Well, Sharon, that just about wraps it up for today's show. I think we've given our listeners and viewers a lot of great information with our guests. And Sharon, please thank our guests for us.
I will. And I guess I want to tell everybody, if you want to get a hold of me, go to SharonEngle.com. Very simply, SharonEngle.com. Our first guest today was the Reverend Ben Johnson, who's the managing editor at Acton Institute's flagship publication, Religion and Liberty. He was talking about Kamala Harris and a video that she put out. What's the difference between equity and equality? Our second guest was Hans von Spakosky. He's the foremost expert, and I believe he's written books on this. Who's Counting is one of those books. He's at the Heritage Foundation's Edwin C. Meese, the third Law and Justice Institute, and he was talking about what else? This election and the lineup, where the lawsuits are, how to get those won, what the battle really looks like. And then finally, we talked with our good friend Tracy Beanz, who's a journalist and editor-in-chief at Uncover DC. She focuses on the truth. She told the truth again today about a republic, if we can keep it, and really what's going on with this election and where we're going. So we're grateful to all of our guests. Thank them so very much for being on our show.
And you know, Sharon, I don't want our side to give up. Don't ever give up. Fight this battle. Go to these rallies. Call your legislatures. You demand an accountable election. And Sharon, I know you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot to help expose this fraud. Please tell our audience how they could get involved in your efforts.
Oh, absolutely. They can contact me on our website. Of course, there's a contact form, EIPNV.com, EIPNV.com, Election Integrity Project Nevada.com. They can also go to SharonEngle.com and just push the contact there. It comes to me. They can also get a hold of us here at ccrshow.com or at AUNTV at yahoo.com. So we got a lot of ways to go. You can contact us. If you contact us here at the studio, of course, Rick's going to pass that on to me, and you can come direct through the other websites. So please, all 4 of those, by the way, take donations, and all of your donations are really gratefully appreciated because they go toward this effort fighting the election corruption in the nation, as well as getting the news out, getting the real truth out about what's going on in these elections. If we didn't have AUN TV right now, we wouldn't have known on election night just what was going on with the press and how they tried to call the election or certify the election. It's not their job, and they're never going to get that job unless they actually take it by force, which is what they're trying to do right now. And as long as we have AUN TV and Conservative Commandos radio show, we will be that loyal opposition that Rick talks about. Never, 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 never quit. That's Winston Churchill in the throes of World War II. He said, never, 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 never quit. They didn't. They won. So take a leaf out of Winston Churchill's book, Never, Never, Never Quit, and push that donate button.
All right. But for right now, we're out of time. We got to run and we got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.